Welcome back. Really, we do have a lot to speak about, so we are going to start immediately. But let me first welcome my dear guest live here in the studio, Mr. Salah Hafez, former chairperson of the Environment Agency and a former vice chairperson of the EGPC. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
As I said in my intro, we are going to speak about energy, and of course, when you're here, you are our expert, so you are going to answer all my questions. But before going into more details, let's speak about something nice, or the nicest things which took place in 2020 regarding the oil and gas field in Egypt, with the exploration or discoveries of about 53 new oil and gas discoveries in 2022. To what extent, sir, do you see that these discoveries are going to help Egypt to turn or to be the coming energy hub, maybe not only for the Middle East, as I said, but maybe to the whole world?
Of course, it will augment the status of Egypt in this part of the world, and but we're a net importer of oil, liquid hydrocarbons, and we will remain to be so because we've already passed the peak of our production, and the consumption is increasing as by default. So in the gas is something else. In the gas we have been a net importer and then next net exporter, and now we are a net importer again in about 2010, and now we're net exporter. So net exporter because we found a huge gas field, namely Dohor, and with tremendous reserves, more than any other field in the area. And lately, just before the end of the year, we discovered another major discovery, which is 3.5 trillion. Yeah. And still different, but Dohor is something
big,
stupendous.
Really big,
having spent most of my life in oil exploration, I mean, this was a real surprise because of the nature of the reservoir, the amount of reserves, and the harmony in developing a field like this. So this is concerning the oil and gas. But more importantly, before the end of the year was COP27.
Sure.
And COP27 was very nervous setup because of the ever increasing level of carbon dioxide, more than expectations. And the plan is ideally we reach a rise in the temperature, 1.5 degrees, and then stabilize at this level. So the earlier, the better. And now this is 1.5 degree from the industrial period.
Revolution, let's say.
Revolution, the beginning of, in the 18th century. So this is a big problem because now we're 1.1 degree above the level of the industrial period. And with the business as usual, with the little that is being done and the violations of many of the pledges that governments gave in the last COPs in the past, this will make us go inevitably above 1.5 degrees. So this is a disaster because 1.1 is big enough to cause all the changes that we're seeing around us. With more than that, more than 1.5, the mathematical model will be crippled to tell us what expectations. There are many things, especially in the weather and the gales and the storms and things like that. It will occur and it will cost a lot of money to adapt. Of course, the period is very short for the humanity to adapt with the changes in such a
meaning, sir, that you're telling me that till the moment we have not learned the lesson yet? I mean, with all the natural disasters.
Who is we?
We, I mean, human beings, I mean, on the planet.
The human being, yes, realized. But the business and the lobby of the money and the economy and politics, they play more important role than the normal person is looking at it. So the lobby, they're thinking of today, never tomorrow. So this is the problem. You know, there were many pledges, and then the war broke out. The war broke out for reasons that was not.
Before going to that, sir, if you permit me, since you've mentioned this, I remember very well in the final session, which was very long, by the way, and it came after maybe 12 hours of continuous consultations headed by Sameh Shukri, our foreign minister, and of course the president of COP27. He spoken in specific about the loss and damage issue. And he mentioned Africa, of course, more than once, because Africa, unfortunately, it is the continent introducing least to the harm of the planet, and in the same time being exposed to more dangerous more than any other place. I think with all the discussions, the roundtable discussions, the workshops, now it's very clear that we do not have options. I mean, working to find a solution to this is not more a luxury, if you agree with me on that.
Definitely. I have attended the discussions, the ministerial discussions before signing the climate change agreement in '92, and all other...
From Kyoto to Paris to Glasgow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
following that up. And we started as trying to tell the developed world that they are the culprit for what's happening now. So they should be accountable for that and to rectify. So they made many protocols, and now they're saying it's not our problem. I mean, we're not we can protect ourselves, but not. You know, they changed the tone a little bit. So what's happening today about the war, for instance? They ruled out all the pledges that were made in COP 26 in Glasgow, like phasing out of methane, the coal, phasing out of coal, reducing the carbon dioxide by, you know, pledges, but no commitment. The only commitment was on Kyoto, because they gave specific amount of carbon dioxide that each group, there were three main groups, namely Europe and Japan and America, that they have to cut down the carbon dioxide emission by so much. China didn't take part because at that time their emission was only 4%, but now they're 26%. They said, let us develop, and then we will get together. We'll join in.
We are not going to shoulder this responsibility, except we are involved in the issue.
So it is known, and it is, but there are many other players behind all what's happening commercially.
No, I'm saying this, sir, because some of the representatives in the COP27, for example, they were some of the firefighting companies who were really suffering in California wildfires, in the Spanish wildfires, and in the storms or the landslides or whatever, you name it, a natural disaster. They already paid a lot of money to save their nature and to save people, and they are not going to be they were not going to be able to feel this kind of responsibility or to face their people if they are going to continue the same way. Because if you are not going to cooperate to find a solution for that, you are going to suffer more wildfires, more landslides, more drought, more desertification, you name it.
This is what the logic says, but what's happening is something else. The politics, like the war of Russia and Ukraine. I mean, it's a disaster.
It is.
And going back to coal and increasing, and the logistics, you know, the midstream of the whole play is changing. So this causes a lot of emission, a lot of cost, and the price of energy is going up. But let me concentrate on the last event of the year, which is COP27, which is directly related to energy. Sure. Because the main culprit, of course, is the carbon dioxide and the fossil fuel. And they were looking at net zero. This is very important issue. Net zero is because inevitably you'll be emitting carbon dioxide. You will not phase out of fossil fuel completely overnight.
Sure.
So, but now you're emitting twice as much as the sinks are taking care of the sinks that absorb the carbon dioxide. So we want to reach the level that all the emitting carbon dioxide is absorbed by the sinks, which is the forests that are being on fire most of the time now because of the dryness and because of the climate change, and the oceans and the sea because of the
Sure,
algae.
they've discovered an old city under one of Chinese river because the river already now is not found on the ground.
Yeah, no.
Complete drought. If you can imagine what I mean. I mean, there are things which may change even the geography of the place. So, because of this, I'm talking about having something as a luxury or an option and having something which is a must. Since you are mentioning also COP27, how do you see not only the participation of world leaders or heads of governments or experts or whatever, or even UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who were just beside President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi receiving the high-ranking delegates, but tell me also about the topics raised, the agenda, and how this is going to continue the same way or on the right path, because Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri said a very important statement by the end of the COP27. He said that Egypt, as the president of the COP27, is going to continue with practicing more efforts for the sake of implementing what we have agreed upon during this year. It's not ended by the end of the conference itself in Sharm el-Sheikh.
Yeah, and he extended the conference by 1 day to reach the loss and damage that occurred, especially in Pakistan, with a lot of people dying from the
floods.
flooding. So this, he was very successful in achieving this. But the other very important issues, and we can address it more elaborately, it is the green hydrogen.
Sure.
The green hydrogen is still being developed, but it has an instrumental role now to reach zero, because it's the green, meaning that it can provide energy from the renewable energy, but the carrier of the renewable energy, and providing it with high costs so far, but it will be straightened up with time. But this is a magic and instrumental thing that we all have to address, and Egypt in particular is situated in a very, very prime location, being exporter of gas, having the infrastructure of gas, and next to the biggest market in the world, which is Europe.
We are going to mention
So
this,
this
to speak about this in detail, but let me ask a yes or no question. Green hydrogen, can I consider it as the future of renewable energy?
I would think so.
Then
Definitely,
it's a yes.
definitely, it's the future. It's the future.
This is what I'm saying. So there's a lot of efforts which should be exerted to reach this point.
Yeah.
Would you please elaborate?
Well, scientifically, research in the States, everywhere they have a spot where green hydrogen activities are being developed. They have academicians, they have business people, and the state government or the federal government helping. Because of the institutions, they have to make the system conducive to producing this and making money.
Sure.
The most important part is making money. So this is what we need to do in this part of the world, because we're not situated. The biggest producer of hydrogen is China, and then India, for instance. India, they have a hub, but they produce blue. I will talk about blue
Yep.
and green. But this part of the world, we need it, and we have all the infrastructure, we have all the ingredients to do it, but the help of the academicians and the government and the institutionalization of
And the partnership between the public and private sectors.
partnership. And the freedom of the currency, which is we're taking steps now to becoming in this with this group, but it's very difficult.
Yes, it's not an
And
easy job at all.
the stability which we have compared to other countries in the area. So we have some, but we need to do a lot for this function to function properly, and to make private public sector work
Let me
together.
introduce the other side of the coin. Sir, whenever we are talking about money, about sums of money, money is coward. And you would find an investor who want to share, who want to, invade this field. But the very first question, is it safe? Is it a calculated risk? Is it something which I should not dare even to think about except after so many years, because till the moment it's a brand new field, meaning that nobody is going to tell me his experience. I am going to be one of the pioneers, and this is a double scissor weapon. Which is which?
Of course, everything is there. I mean, the answer is yes, everything. So there are many parameters that have to exist to cause synergy and cause the system to work smoothly. But to put impediments for the investors that you know, the States is very easy because of taxes. Taxes, you're supposed to be making money, so they will give you some incentive to incentivize them by taxes. Here, it's not like that, because the system as it is, the private sector will not make money if they produce hydrogen and export it.
Under the current regulations, you mean?
Under the current regulation.
So this is something which should be amended to attract more investors to come and to have their share in this field.
Yeah, they have all together, the energy, the economists, the legal, all the houses, and they have to develop a system that is conducive to making private sector and experts, specialized companies to come in and put money, investment, and guarantee a return. And because they have all the they did it everywhere. India is a hub for hydrogen.
This was my coming question regarding India in specific. Despite the fact that many of the international experts regarding economy would speak about India, about poverty in India, about being considered as one of the continents, if I may say so. Still, when we spoke about the industrialization of manufacturing COVID-19 vaccine, you would find India involved. Nuclear, you would find India involved. Now, when we speak about green hydrogen, you would find India involved and considered as a hub. What's the secret, and how we can benefit from the others' experience in such a field? Despite the fact that we are talking about, let's say, third world, as the West is calling us, or a place or a country where it can be very much suffering from the global economic crisis, which the whole world is suffering right now, but still, I do admire the experience.
India, they're very good scientifically. They're good mathematicians, good physicists, and they're very good scientifically, the best. So they are developed, and they have system, and they have business, and and democracy. We have to say, democracy helps a lot in developing the conducive system for things like that to develop. And they have been doing it now for a few years, and they became one of the main playmakers because of their size, of course, not the land, but the people, number of people, and the education and the democracy. So we have similar situation here. Well, but they're developing a hub for the East, and we are next to the largest market. So if you can develop, and we have been developing a hub for energy for some time now.
Then you
So
spoke about China, about India, and about the United States.
the United States is another world.
Which experience is closer to us, or which experience we should have a kind of strategic partnership with to make it easier for us to make maybe faster steps in this field?
None really, because
None.
like in the States, it's the tax system.
Okay.
The tax system, they can you have to put intensive forward for the system to work. But institutionally, those large players, they have the system built in. I mean, not introduced or to tuck it in the existing system. Here we have to develop our system. So we have to develop the system to cover all complaints that the business community or the private investors, and whether it be a foreigner or Egyptian, to help them make money.
To
And
amend
produce
the regulations, to end the bureaucracy, to continue with what we have started already, as we were speaking before being on air with the economic conference, trying to have this golden license implemented on the ground, not only ink on paper, and to have this kind of flexibility to amend any regulations according to what's going on the ground to achieve tangible results. But sir, if you were speaking about green and blue, and you said that you want to elaborate on that and on the difference. Please do.
blue has always been in the system because hydrogen is used in many industries, in refining the petroleum products, in steel, in chemical, pharmaceutical, hydrogen and ammonia, they're related. So they've been produced by hydrogen called the blue hydrogen. The blue hydrogen is, you do a process called reformate to the methane, to the gas, steam reformate or something, where you produce hydrogen and use it. But the problem of doing that, it emits carbon dioxide. So to make it blue, meaning it's not quite green, you have to capture the carbon dioxide and sequestrate, put it back in the ground, a way or another, for it not to affect the global warming or the climate change.
The environment.
So this is the climate change. Because carbon dioxide exists in the air. So it's not a pollutant, but it has other thing that is detrimental to planet Earth, which is the temperature increase. So this is the blue. The green is you analyze the water electrically, electrolyze, and separate the oxygen from the hydrogen.
HO2, the H2 and O. H2O, yes.
So
two atoms of hydrogen and one of oxygen.
Okay, exactly.
Then it's when we do electrify, we split.
You split.
Each. Yes.
True. Yeah, exactly what you say. And then the oxygen stays in the air, but the hydrogen is the
heavier.
The hydrogen is the lightest of all.
Yes. Yeah. The oxygen is.
So it's not freely found in. So you capture it and store it, and then so storing it is a problem. Moving it is a transportation is a problem. And then if you put it in a fuel cell, you add oxygen to it, and you release electricity. As it was in the beginning, you used electricity for it to be separated, to split them.
Yeah.
So this is the green. So you use the renewable energy, like solar
Wind.
or wind. And solar and wind, you cannot use it unless you store it.
Yeah.
That's why I say the midstream of this, the logistics is always difficult. And the hydrogen is very light. So you cannot move like gasoline, for instance, because it has body and weight. So gravity has, you have to either cool it to a very, very low degree, like 250 degrees, to
Minus
liquefy
250
it,
degrees.
minus,
Yes.
to liquefy, or to compress to 700 times or so, and then it develop enough density for it to move as a body. So the cost is high because either you cool it or compress it. Is energy intensive, so you use energy. You can do this to the ammonia also. There is green ammonia and blue ammonia. So, but this is the problem. This is the solution for the climate change, because no emission. And this is the key to it. So they all expect that by 2025 or 2030, the cost of developing hydrogen will not need any incentives to make money out of. So, but for this part of this period, because it's critical to climate change, you know, the government has to take instrumental role and action, very strong action, to make the system workable.
So the green hydrogen energy, is it going to replace all other kinds of renewable energy, solar, wind, even nuclear, or it's going to be complementary? I mean, is it going just to complete the circle, to be added as an added value, but it's not going to replace all other kinds or forms of renewable energy? In your opinion, of course.
It can in the fullness of time. When you say in the fullness of time, there is no timing for it, because things
because, for
develop.
example, Germany announced, a
hydrogen,
decade ago or something that they are going to turn to nuclear energy and they are going to forget all about oil, for example. And speaking about that, and speaking about the partnership between or among many of the European countries regarding this, and what's going on with the Zaporizhzhia nuclear site now, and all the fears after this Russian-Ukrainian struggle. Oh, this is going to end with another catastrophe like Chernobyl, for example. Then the people, or I think the world now, is looking at the nuclear energy not as the clean, nice energy we want to really share, but as something which can be a threat to the whole world. True, or am I exaggerating?
no, it's a clean energy.
But
And the incidences and the damages that occurred from Chernobyl or 10 Mile Island, or I don't remember the names, or the Japanese one. In total, less than the petroleum. If you see the pollution from the petroleum, the climate change, the damages.
the spills of oil in the sea, for example, when something wrong happened with a ship carrying,
for instance,
oil,
but it is it's not clean in this matter.
Yes,
But the
in this
hydrogen
matter.
also can be hazardous, because
Sure.
this
is it,
and
and
ammonia can cause fire
contamination.
and fire and explosions. So you know, but the science is developing very rapidly.
Every second.
Every
So,
second.
sir, I have only 2 minutes, and I want to ask about this February conference. Egypt hosted the largest edition of Egypt's 2023 Driving Global Efforts Towards Sustainable Energy, themed North Africa and the Mediterranean, supporting sustainable global energy supply and demand. The Egypt Petroleum Show, Egypt's 2023. How do you see this theme and how we can have this kind of connection between COP27, because it was named the Africa COP, and this one, which also had the theme North Africa and the Mediterranean. I mean, to locate or to speak in specific about those areas.
Well, as I said before, we have to introduce and to institutionalize this concept. It's beautiful concept, really. I mean, it's breathtaking. That because this is the only way to reach net zero emission. Net zero is not zero emission. Back to your question, are we going to get rid of all other? No, this will continue. But net zero, you know, once you find you reach the temperature 1.5, then you stabilize it by making sure that what you emit from carbon dioxide is absorbed by the natural system on the planet.
Yeah.
But of course, you cannot. You have to go to make sure all the time that it is to the better.
It's a very difficult equation,
yeah, but what you said, COP27 was a watershed period of humanity, I would say, with the results of it and the pledges that were introduced. But we have to make sure that they are implemented.
Well, as usual, I enjoyed my time. I enjoyed our discussion, and we are always an added value to our program, sir. We were very much delighted to have with us Mr. Salah Hafez, former chairperson of the Environment Agency and former vice chairperson of the EGPC. Well, we are going now to leave you with the most important events which took place in the economic field here in Egypt. But, sir, before we go, thank you very much, and we are going to leave you with a promise to see you again in more episodes of our program. Thank you, sir. So goodbye for now. Stay tuned only on Nile TV International always for more. This was Nermeen Abdurrahman.